Hey Gateway, this is Pastor Bob, and these are our midweek announcements for you for June 10th. We hope that you are all doing well, that you're healthy and safe. And this coming Sunday, we will continue our study in the book of Acts. It will be part 21, and we will be in chapter 8, starting in verse 26, on the story of Philip and the Ethiopian. It's a great story, and I hope that you can join us for that. So I have been running into many of you over the last few days, and basically everyone has the same question, and it's just one question. When will we be meeting at Gateway again? And that is a good question to ask, and I get it because I'm ready as well. I'm ready to be here face to face or mask to mask or whatever it is, but I'm really looking forward to seeing you. And so I want to give you an update on where we are with this. I told you last week that Clark County is now in phase 2. Phase 2 means that churches can meet indoors, but they cannot have more than 50 people in a service. So that is just not a high enough number for us to justify having services, but we are hopeful for phase 3. Right now, we have not been told what churches will be allowed to do in phase 3, but we are going to plan as if it will be worthwhile for us to begin meeting again. We're just going to plan on that and pray towards that end. And in terms of a date, we are thinking right now that it will be July 12th when we begin to meet here again. That's actually not very far away considering all the things we need to do around here to be ready for that. Now, we don't know that it'll be July 12th. We don't know that the government will give us the go-ahead or what that will look like, but that's what we're planning for right now, and that's what we're praying for. But here's what you need to know. If it happens on that date and we begin to meet here, things are going to look different. We will have to limit attendance in our worship services, which means that we're going to have to ask people to reserve seats. And I get the same look from everyone when I say that. It's kind of like well, what are you going to do? If we can only have so many people, we're going to give it our best shot to try to get it all worked out for you so that when you come, if you come, there is a seat for you and you know that you can get in. We'll have to set up the sanctuary with seating for social distancing or anti-social distancing, as I like to call it now. And that's going to look different than what you're used to in a worship service. We will probably have to wear masks. There will be no coffee service. I know, terrible. You'll have to bring your own coffee with you and snacks and goldfish crackers and all of that. We won't be able to have children's church at first or the kids center. Now, we'll give you more details as we get closer, hopefully in the next few weeks. But let me just say that I'm very, very excited about the possibility of us once again meeting together. Now, with that being said, when we begin to meet here again, there's going to be a big change that comes for us at that time. Now, we've gone through the process of, for years and years, offering up an audio recording of the worship services. And then during the shutdown, we moved over to video. It's recorded here in my office, and the worship team is down on the stage together. But we're going to kind of switch over when we go to live services again. And what we want to do is do a live stream of the 9 o'clock service. And then once that service is over, we'll kind of press the button and it will be released, and you can watch it anytime you want after that. But in order to do this in the sanctuary as opposed to here in my office, it's going to require a lot of technology and equipment for us. We'll set up multiple cameras in the room so you can see the worship team when they're up there, me when I'm preaching, that you can see the screen and all that stuff. And so we are working hard to get that ready. It's a lot of planning. It is a lot of equipment, but I think it's going to provide a worship experience for people who have to be at home that's going to be superior to what we have had. Now, one of the reasons that we feel this is so important is before we went through this whole COVID thing and having to stay at home, on an average weekend, our attendance, that is for people who are here in the building and people who are listening to sermons online, our attendance ran in the hundreds, in the high hundreds. But since we've switched over and doing videos, our attendance, as close as we can tell, is now in the thousands, is in the multiple of thousands. And we're really excited about that. We're excited about all the additional people that we're reaching. But we also want the experience in the future to be more like what's happening in the worship service. So we need to buy a bunch of equipment, and we want to let you know about that. We are opening up a special fund that you can give towards if you'd like. We've had several people already say, how can I support that? We're looking to raise about $11,000. It's kind of our own little Kickstarter fund. And the way that you can support that is you can do it online if you want to. You can go to online giving. And if you're used to doing that, there's a little box. You go to Gateway's website, click online giving. There'll be a little box that you can put other, just write video in there if you'd like to give towards that. Or you can drop something by the church office as well. Our goal is to raise about $11,000. We think that will fund everything that we need to do so that when we start having services here again, what you see at home is what's happening here. And we're pretty excited about that. Third thing, Family Promise. So it is almost time for us to host Family Promise again. Family Promise is a ministry to homeless families in Clark County. Our next Family Promise will begin on June 28th. We will not be having people stay here at the church because of COVID-19. They will be staying in a hotel as they have been, but we will be providing meals. So if you would like to help us out in providing meals, you can do that a few ways. You can actually make a meal and take it to them. We'll tell you how to do that, or you can provide money for a meal. And if you'd like to sign up for a meal, basically you can just go to Gateway's website, and over on the left side, click the little button that says Get Involved. And once you click that, just scroll down to where you see Family Promise, and there will be a link. I think it's to a website where you can sign up for a meal or give money for a meal. So we would love to have you be involved in that. You can also do that on our Gateway's Facebook page as well. A fourth thing I want you to know about, scholarship funds. So this is the time of year when kids are graduating, and many of you are thinking about going to school in the fall. And if you or someone you know will be attending a Christian college or university in September in the fall for an undergraduate degree, and you graduated from a Washougal or Camas high school, you may qualify for a scholarship. You can find out more about that by contacting the church office. The deadline is approaching quickly. It's about a week from now, so you'll want to call Michelle at the office and find out more, see if you qualify for that. And if you do, you can fill out an application and get that in. That's a pretty cool thing that some people in our church are providing. Fifth thing, consider supporting Gateway financially. So during the COVID-19 lockdown, we've been providing worship services, pastoral care, Bible study classes online, food for people. But the one thing that we can't do is we can't take a physical offering. So many of you have been doing that. You've been going online and supporting the church financially. Some of you bring checks by during the week. If you've been here, you know, down in the lobby, we have a little table with a basket on it. And every now and then I'll go out for a meeting. And when I come back, there's checks in there. And I have to tell you, it's just so encouraging. Sometimes I don't even see you come in and do it, but just to know that you're thinking of us, that you are making a trip down here to be able to give money to the church, and you are blessing the church and the ministry here. If you've been giving, I want to thank you. It really means a lot to us. If you haven't been doing that but would like to, you can do that online. There's a link for that at our website, and thank you for that. Lastly, I want to mention this. So I've been hearing from many in our community, in our church, who are struggling right now. And that's completely understandable. It makes sense. I think with just all the complications that COVID-19 has brought to our lives, the lockdown for some of you at your job, your finances. If you're in school, that's been tough for that. If you're a parent of school kids, that's been a challenge as well. Some of you are working at home. There's isolation. There's just so much stuff going on. And then on top of that, I think many of us are trying to get some God-given wisdom and direction regarding all that's happening in our country right now. So we think about things like racism and social injustice. We're trying to process the peace gatherings that are going on, the riots that happen. There's the politicians and the politicizing of all this. There's all the people with different views and the debating on Facebook and all of that, right? And I think for many of us, in addition to that, we're learning new terms, new definitions. Now we have to know what microaggression is, right? You know what I mean? There's just so much there. And I can tell you personally, and I said this last week, I'm trying to take some time to stop and to listen and to learn. And I was hoping that by the time I did the video this week, I'd be like, yeah, I'm all done and I'm not even close, because it feels like things are happening so fast. And I feel some of the stress, but here's the thing. I want to get it right. I want to follow God. I want to be open to his wisdom. And I know that there are things in my life that are not yet aligned with God and his perspective. And I want that. But you probably have experienced this too. Sometimes sometimes getting there is hard. It's difficult. It's challenging. And sometimes we make it hard by resisting God. And so I want to encourage you again, if this is difficult and it's hard, not to run away from it, but to lean into it, especially to lean into God. I came across a passage this week that was so encouraging to me, and I want to close by reading this for you. This is from Romans 8, beginning in 26. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, right? So many of us are feeling weak right now. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groans that words cannot express. I love that so much. Honestly, there are times when I go to pray and God calls me to pray and encourages me to come to him, but sometimes I don't know what to pray for. I don't know if I should pray, God, can you fix this, or let it go for a while? I don't know if I should pray, God, give me peace, or I need to kind of feel tension for a while. Sometimes I don't know, and I know sometimes you don't know. So he says the Spirit will intercede for us. And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints in accordance with God's will. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. I love how all of that works together there. That for some of us right now, we don't know how to pray. We don't know what to pray for, but we should pray, and we should go to God, and we should bow the knee to Christ, and we should spend time with him. And in all of that, I love the promise, he'll pray for us. He knows how to pray for us. And if I pray the wrong thing, he'll fix it and pray the right thing for me. I love the fact that I don't have to have it all figured out even when I go to prayer. I just go to God, and I share with him my heart, but I leave myself open for the leading of God's Spirit. And I love how I closed it. We know that God works all things for the good of those, even our prayers, even when they're not quite right. So the idea is this: prayer doesn't need to be a stressful thing where I go to God and have to make sure am I praying the right words and getting it all right. Sometimes it's going and just being quiet before God and letting the Spirit of God pray on our behalf. I've experienced that. It's an amazing, encouraging thing. Well, that's where we are this week. I hope that you are encouraged about the fact that we are hoping to meet soon in July. It'll be here before you know it. In the meantime, God bless you and have a great week.